Welcome to New Cyber Frontier, bringing you the latest news on cybersecurity and the local Colorado economy, focused on cybersecurity industry growth and initiatives that support cybersecurity economics. We hope this special series on blockchain builds your excitement for a possible future which empowers individual privacy. Please follow and participate as New Cyber Frontier is supporting a grassroots community effort to empower the individual in the digital age. Check out privacyforthepeople.org to see the upcoming crowdfunding campaign. Now sit back and enjoy as we introduce our great guest for today's show.
Hello, this is Abe Thompson coming to you from the Secure Set Studios here in Colorado Springs for New Cyber Frontier. Today's podcast is a unique and exciting one. We're meeting with Liz Grutoff-Crotty. She's currently a linguist at Girasol Languages, but she's here today representing Zonta. Welcome, Liz.
Thank you so much, Abe.
It is a delight to have you here. So tell us, what keeps you busy during the day, and what's sort of your current focus and thrust, and then how are you connected to Zonta?
Okay. Well, I retired after 30 years of teaching in the public school systems, and I founded Girasol Languages.
Awesome.
I'm a linguist. You might not think that linguistics is a science, but it certainly is.
Indeed.
We have both the hard science of computer technology and acoustics, and the soft sciences of history and anthropology, and it all comes together in one amazing field, which is linguistics.
You're here. I definitely have a love and affinity for languages myself, and I concur, especially with my military experience. I, at one point, had responsibility for all the Navy linguists and their training pipeline and getting them into the Navy, and then, establishing what our requirements were out there. And a lot of that was part of the job, but, having lived abroad as a child and then as an adult, definitely an affinity. So I appreciate this as a science. so more power to you. What is Zonta?
So Zonta is a worldwide organization of professionals, and we work across the world to advocate for women and support women. We're a service and advocacy group. We're a nonprofit. We have a seat at the United Nations.
Oh, wow.
And we raise money for local projects. And so our local projects in Colorado Springs, first of all, we established the Human Trafficking Task Force of Southern Colorado.
Good.
And then we went on to establish the local International Women's Day celebration, which is the first Saturday every March. We work with other organizations to put that on. And then this year, we came up with something new, and we think it's very timely because unknown to us, Zonta International was thinking along the same lines, and that is bringing the STEM career fair to Colorado Springs, and we established that, and we thank you for help and participation. And at the same time, Zonta International has launched a new scholarship called the Women in Technology Scholarship. And by the way, Zonta is celebrating its 100th year, and so this scholarship is being launched for in honor of our centennial anniversary. And Zonta, throughout its history, has supported women in education and actually women in STEM. And our most famous scholarship is probably the Amelia Earhart Fellowship for Women in Aerospace-related Engineering. And so, of course, named after our most famous member, Amelia Earhart was a Zontian.
I did not realize that. That's really neat. Excellent. So, you personally, how did you kind of come into a connection with Zonta and develop this passion that you have to support women across the workforce?
Well, one of my
world.
colleagues invited me to join. She was a teacher with me at Rampart. She taught French and Russian. Her name is Gail Kozhevnikov. And she invited me to join. And I wanted to join not only because I really have an affinity to international causes, and I believe in, of course, learning to communicate in other languages. I think we're at a real disadvantage when we assume that the other party will know English and we don't know their culture and language.
Bit of arrogance there, right?
Right, exactly. So I joined back in the 80s, and I wanted to establish relationships with women outside of the teaching career.
Sure.
I already belonged to lots of teaching organizations, and so Zonta fulfilled that purpose. And these Zontians have become some of my closest friends. Working together with them and has opened up an amazing ability to connect with women from any kind of career that you might imagine.
Sure enough. This actually would be a great place for us to take a quick break and listen in for our sponsor.
Cyber Resilience Institute helps build strong cyber communities designed to prevent members from attack. Like building a neighborhood watch, it takes coordination and a sharing community to protect our identities and valuables in the virtual world. Typically, we hear that organizations know they need to do something to protect their cyber assets, but don't know where to begin. Let Cyber Resilience Institute help your community create an action plan. Cyber Resilience Institute will build your community or business marketplace so that it is designed to support a collective cyber defense. Contact them for more information at cyberresilienceinstitute.org.
And we're back with New Cyber Frontier. This is Abe Thompson coming to you from the Secure Set Studios here in Colorado Springs. I have the privilege of being with Liz Grutoff-Crotty, and we are talking about this marvelous organization with some rich history, Zonta here in Colorado Springs, your local chapter, and then it is a worldwide entity. You mentioned something that's obviously as a father of a daughter and having been a high school and middle school teacher, you mentioned also that your women's advocacy has kind of touched not just sort of the workforce issues, but also advocating against human trafficking and now advocating for women in STEM. Have you seen some success in combating the trafficking piece?
Absolutely. The
Excellent.
Human Trafficking Task Force, which is now a separate entity, but we still support it by serving on the board and volunteering and raising money, was established about 11 years ago, and it's only within the last 4 or 5 years, maybe less, that the police and the sheriff and the CIA and the FBI came on board.
Good.
And so now, at the time that the Human Trafficking Task Force was established, people didn't really believe that trafficking existed in our area, but it does, and it's a continual problem. It's rivaling illegal arms and drug sales for the #1 crime in the world.
Well, and there is clearly for us in the cybersecurity industry a significant thread in addressing and dealing with human trafficking. So many of us in this industry definitely have a heart for what you're doing there, and so we thank you for your leadership in that area on behalf of not only our families and their safety, but also just addressing a horrible evil. But you've recently started this additional thrust here, and we're able to pull off your very first Women in STEM Fair here in Colorado Springs. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the idea developed from International Women's Day in 2017. Our theme was STEAM, which is STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, Math, and add an A for the arts.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so we had speakers that talked a lot about STEM in elementary school and some high school, and of course, we started being interested in the topic. What is there available for Colorado Springs women, and just women in general? Governor Hickenlooper designated Colorado Springs as Cyber City USA.
Yes.
And so I started thinking, what are we doing to get women on board? I started Googling, and I found sadly that fewer women were entering the STEM field than even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so that's ridiculous. We need to be better represented. And in fact, I wanted to read you one of the reasons that Zonta created the Women in Technology Scholarship is to create a world in which men and women have equal opportunities. Women need to have an active role in technology and technological developments. And so that is the goal of the scholarship, to get more women into technology. And of course, we're expanding. Any kind of technology could include the exciting health medicine industry, sports medicine industry, etc.
Now, without just camping on assumptions that are probably out there, what are some of the reasons why we've seen this disparity and mismatch? Why aren't ladies and young women aspiring as they should be to STEAM or STEM STEM
Well,
opportunities?
I just have had a few private conversations with individuals. One of the things that women do say is that, and I hate to sound a little bit like I'm whining. In my career, I didn't find this was true. I was an educator. But in the STEM careers, I'm hearing women say that men are not appreciating their ideas. They're treating them like daughters rather than co-workers. Sometimes an idea is ignored until a man says that same idea. And also women have special needs. Many women are heads of household with children, and many women have left the field and are moving
Gaps.
into
Yeah,
the
yeah.
field. And so I think that the industry as a whole needs to be very proactive in including women and encouraging women and supporting women in re-entering the field or switching into the field. One of the goals for the Women's STEM Career Fair event, which was June 17th, Women in STEM, Exploring and Equipping, was to convince women not only to see their field as a possible link to STEM, but perhaps even switch from a job which is not very challenging or not very rewarding into a job which can make an immense difference for people individually in the health field or around the world in cyber technology.
Sure. Well, don't settle, but fulfill your highest potential.
Right.
And you know, I see this all the time, and I'm particularly, you know, we've also heard from middle school girls. They're like, well, I don't want to go be with a bunch of boys, you know. So you know, you hear that sort of little tiny commentary, and I'm like, well, that doesn't need to be.
No,
Come
it
see.
doesn't.
You know, there's cyber princesses. There's all these initiatives that are, you know, encouraging women to come to the field. But honestly, you know, it's stunning that some of those things that you just mentioned are still occurring, but I think it's good to give voice
Yeah.
to that reality still, or the practices won't change.
Well, Jill Teachin, our keynote speaker at our event,
yeah.
she's an engineer, and she has established a website called Engineer Girl. I encourage moms to show that website to their daughters and get them thinking about whether engineering might be a good career for them. And Jill said engineering is everything. Look around you. You see light bulbs? They
Yep,
were designed
yep.
by an engineer.
Yep.
You see a bridge? Engineer. So engineering needn't be an intimidating
No.
title. Engineering is important for everything we look and at and touch and use in life.
Well, truth be told, it's probably not just intimidating to you know, young women, but you know, plenty of men hear engineering and they freeze like a deer in the headlights. And it was really neat because I did listen to Jill when she spoke, and it really simplified that engineers are the people that make it happen
Yes.
across the board.
And she said that studies have shown that many Americans aren't able to define the word engineer.
Yeah.
They don't know what it actually means.
We were joking, it's the guy that drives the train, right?
Yeah, right.
The engineer. So for those listening, that's if they Google Engineer Girl, they'll find Jill's website. So great resource out there. So I'm really excited in particular about one of the things that came up at this Women in STEM Fair here in Colorado Springs, and that was a discussion of this Women in Tech scholarship, and you briefly touched on it, Women in STEM, excuse me, celebrating the 100th anniversary of Zonta, so tell us about this scholarship. We'll take a quick break, but then we'll come back and
Right.
finish.
It's a brand new scholarship. It was just introduced. The materials have just come online. And so currently, many of the clubs around the world are collecting their papers from applicants
Sure,
by the
sure.
end of June. But Zonta Pikes Peak is taking an emotional leap,
Yeah.
and we've extended the deadline to July 15th. It is the absolute last possible date before we would send our choice, our applicant, on to district. At district, there is funding for a small scholarship, I believe it's $2,000, and then one of those applicants that moves on to district, in our District 12 encompasses 4 states, would move on to international. It's not impossible to dream that you might receive an international scholarship. Many, many people in Colorado have already received the Amelia Earhart Fellowship.
Great.
We had a local high school girl here who received the International Young Women in Public Affairs Award
Oh,
a couple
wow.
of years ago. So, I say dream big.
Dare to dream.
Yes,
Yeah, for sure.
if you would like some funding to move into your career, and by the way, somebody who was at the STEM career Googled us, Zonta, zonta.org, and she found out that we have a scholarship for women in business.
Yeah.
She just now applied.
Excellent.
And again, the deadline was the end of the month. We said, okay, we're going to squeeze you in somehow.
This is excellent. So let's take a quick break and listen in on our sponsor.
Murray Security Services are your cybersecurity experts with decades of experience providing professional training services for our clients in various industries. We offer professional training and certification in areas of cybersecurity, safety, health, and environmental services at our academy. Our in-person and online training provides a collaborative environment where students can interact directly with instructors through live chats or in private classrooms. Visit murraysecurityservices.com for more information.
And we're back with New Cyber Frontier. I'm Abe Thompson from the SecureSat studios here in Colorado Springs. We've had our guest Liz on from Zonta, and you were just kind of unfolding this scholarship, and I'm very excited about this, but I really want our listeners to key in on this, because you'd indicated at the Women in STEM event that there's an urgency to get applications to raise the visibility of this scholarship. So can you give our listeners the details that they need to actually get into this, and then we'll talk more about the scholarship.
So if you yourself would like to apply, you can find the information and the application online at zonta.org. More specific website is https foundation.zonta.org/women in STEM. And if you're just interested in helping us spread the word, you can go to our Facebook page. We're low budget, so we're counting on Facebook and
Facebook
friends.
works.
And so we've just changed our Facebook page. It used to be Women's STEM Career Fair, Colorado Springs. We want to expand our horizons, so we've changed it to Women's STEM Careers, Southern Colorado.
Women's STEM Careers, Southern Colorado. And then that website for the scholarship is foundationzonta.org/women in STEM. And this is a really great opportunity. Now, Liz, what was if someone goes on to the international competition, what's the amount of that scholarship?
So the international scholarship is $8,000.
Excellent. That's a good start for anybody moving forward in the industry. So tell us again, sort of why the urgency to really get as many applicants as we can here locally and then abroad.
Well, this is the first year of the scholarship. Zonta is committed to continuing the scholarship in future years.
Sure.
So if there are young women out there in high school and listening to us, keep it in mind. We would like to spread the word just to lift the awareness of the need for women to enter into the STEM fields.
Yeah.
And not only here, Zonta's International, we're in 60 countries around the world. We sponsor international projects to help women, and we're looking at now, let's modernize, let's get women into technology. Of course, many of our projects deal with women who are very, very poor.
Yeah.
And but this is for women who are ready to pump it up a bit.
Yeah, make the jump. Now, I remember also from the Women in STEM event, we talked about there's been some good motion in the high schools
Yes.
toward providing internship and opportunity. But one of the things I remember that came up was, well, what about women in the workforce who want to make the change
Right.
to technology, as you were just kind of exhorting people to do? Is the demographic for this scholarship limited?
Oh, actually, it is surprisingly wide.
Great.
Most scholarships, you need to be in college.
Right.
This scholarship is actually available for women who are working.
Nice, nice.
So,
That's a good
yes.
data point. Okay, and so on that particular issue, if we've seen motion in, the high schools and trying to get to the young ladies while they're still making their early decisions, what is the sort of the issue now in getting the word to ladies in the workforce that want to make a change? And then what are some of the things that you'd hope to see to increase that visibility?
Well, thinking down the road, we would like every single organization in industry to look at how they're supporting women.
Yeah.
For example, they could invite the Society of Women Engineers
Right. Mhm.
to speak or establish a group at their company, or other societies that help women. Women in Defense was represented at our STEM
I
fair.
remember that, yeah.
Of course, Zonta International, we are always looking to increase our membership and to increase our profile. And so I just wanted to say about the scholarship, it is available also to women who are studying now. So both
Excellent.
women who are
Students
working
and women in the
right,
workforce.
yeah.
Great. And that's ages 18 and up, or?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
that would
okay.
be reasonable.
Excellent, okay. So you mentioned also Society of Women Engineers, Women in Defense. What have you seen from some of those organizations in terms of the impacts they're hoping to make in really breaking down the doors in this career field?
Well, Jill Teachin mentioned how much the Society of Women Engineers made a difference to her.
Sure.
And then another of our speakers, Julie Vesey, talked about women in defense.
Yes.
These organizations, they could be professional organizations, or they could be, like Zonta is, service and advocacy organizations, are so important to help women not to feel isolated.
Okay.
And by the way, Zonta has a new push in the last couple of years. It's called He for She.
I was just going to ask about that.
So this year we honored our second He for She recipient. In its 100th year, Zonta has had many years to reflect upon our work and see how it should grow. There isn't a man alive who doesn't have a mom, and most have sisters and daughters and,
Yes.
and friends who are women. We want to get the men on board.
As advocates
to really,
as well.
yeah, and to really look at the world. We would like to see women represented 50% in every area, whether it's the workforce or government. We would like women to be on an equal footing with equal laws to protect them throughout the world.
To match population, right? It's about,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
We're
it's just
slightly
one of the obvious,
over 50%.
Yeah, so one of the obvious notes there. Now, you speak of the He for She initiative, but also, if I'm not mistaken, the Society of Women Engineers and Women in Defense also encourage male membership, is that right? And Zonta?
Oh, well, I'm not sure
From
about
what you-
those
yeah.
two, but absolutely, we do have some men in Zonta, and of course, we've got our husbands and
Yeah.
s-
Your cheerleaders,
our
right?
cheerleaders. We call them Zontos locally. I'm not sure if
Zontos,
that's catching
to get
on.
the linguistic correct suffix, right?
But
That's
we're
fantastic.
appreciative of our men, and we wouldn't be in Zonta in some cases if it weren't a man willing to assist taking care of children while we go to meetings
Sure.
and work on our careers. It needs to be a 50-50 proposition in all households.
Well, and hopefully my wife's not listening to this particular podcast, or I'm on the hook. No, but no, I entirely agree, and I actually appreciate the spirit of that notion. What I don't hear is that men are evil and women are the only viable members of society. But I love this unified approach, which I think makes sense. Let's build one another up.
We love our men, and,
yeah.
and many of us are mothers of sons.
Yeah, and a lot of us are daddies of daughters, right? And so, I'm encouraged as a parent to kind of think of ways that I can inspire my daughter past some of the perceived stigmas when it comes to technology and some of those other things, and finding ways for her to find a comfort zone in STEM, realizing that no longer does she have to think she's going to be a sore thumb or sticking out as one of the very few ladies maybe in an organization. I like these initiatives. I like that she has something to follow.
And I just wanted to add, Colorado Springs is the home of many women in transition.
Yeah.
They could be transitioning out of a military career, or perhaps they are athletes at the U.S. Olympics.
Yeah.
And these women should look into STEM as a great new career. They probably already have plenty talents that are applicable.
Sure. Well, and they've done it probably in their career field, demonstrated the value of hard work. And I can't remember the demographic, Mike. I don't know if you know. I want to say there are 4,000 soldiers, just soldiers, that transition monthly here in Colorado Springs.
Oh my, that's a large
And so you
number.
talk about turnover
Yeah.
and opportunity, and I tell you, we are well poised in our industry, and naturally in Colorado Springs, but in our industry in general and in STEM. We need to fling some of these doors open, because it isn't just about an equalization of numbers thing. It's also we need work. We need workers in the workforce.
Absolutely. Yes,
and
I wanted to say that we were so proud to attract the interest of two exhibitors, the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Secret Service
Yes,
at the
I saw
last
them.
minute.
Yep.
And so I'd like to reach out an invitation to all of the military organizations and support organizations and veteran support organizations to reach out to us, and let's work together.
Yeah, and I was excited too. I ran over at the event to introduce myself to the Secret Service agent and asked if she had a card so I could take it home to my daughter, because that would be cool.
And we had the Parks Rangers,
Yes,
City of
saw
Colorado
that.
Springs.
Yeah.
In fact, they wrote me an email. They said, we're going to be an exhibitor and we're going to put the S in STEM.
Yeah.
Yay, go you.
Well, I was so proud too. We had one of our own graduates from Secure Set there. She's an engineer with Lockheed Martin, and I just loved observing some of the younger women talking to her and seeing their own future kind of represented in this lady and this representative, and that kind of energy and sort of the buzz that was the whole event was kind of inspiring anyway. So encouraged for that. What do you see on the horizon? What's the next big thing with Zonta?
Well, first of all, we have a fundraiser coming up.
Okay.
And so we are trying to raise money. This year we don't have funds allocated to the Women in Technology Scholarship.
Okay.
We'd like to change that. And of course we have other scholarships that we work on too.
Yeah, like the Amelia Earhart Fellowship. you
Right,
said? Okay.
exactly. That's one of our favorite efforts. So we're working on raising money, and so you can find out about those efforts on our Zonta Pikes Peak Facebook page.
Okay. And say again the Facebook page just to remind people.
The new Facebook page for STEM is Women's STEM Careers, Southern Colorado, and it used to be called a Women's STEM Career Fair, Colorado Springs. So we're expanding our horizons.
Awesome. And even to have that regional presence, I've been delighted to find out there's, Pueblo is burgeoning and really crying out for recognition of their STEM strengths that are there, and the population that's even there. And so
yes, and we
love
want to
that.
include all of Southern
Great,
Colorado. We have a
great.
Zonta Club in Canyon City, the Royal
Excellent.
Gorge Club. So yeah.
Neat. Excellent. And so lots of initiatives there, but bottom line, you've got a heart to advocate for some equality in industry, but also going beyond that, just to exhort people to step into what can be for anyone an intimidating career field. So as a professional yourself, you talked about being retired, but of course, no one ever really retires, right?
Right.
And you've
I'm
got
definitely not retired.
So as you look back, take this opportunity, if you would, to exhort or encourage a young woman that is sitting here on the precipice of her own professional career. What might you have to say to encourage her to press on?
Well, back in the days when I was in college, I saw few opportunities for people who love foreign language. But even back in those days at the University of Hawaii, where I was doing graduate work, the newest computer software was being developed I didn't see myself as a part of that. My mindset was still on, I need to make a living, I must become a teacher. And I love teaching.
Yeah.
It was a great career. But if I were starting over, I think I would direct myself differently. I might direct myself towards international diplomacy, another field which I didn't really see myself as a woman in,
Sure.
or cybersecurity. Certainly you need linguists in
Yeah.
that field desperately.
Indeed.
And so I would ask any girl, or actually any woman, to take a second look at your career. One of the people that I brought to the event was my dear friend Carolina. She's just finished her bachelor's degree, is working on her master's at UCCS. She wants to be a social worker, but after this event, she said, I'm going to look at my future in a different way.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
that's life-changing.
right.
Wow, it's a great thing to be a part of, and when you can see that transition change, you know, if the eyes are the window to the soul, you can kind of see that happening. There's nothing that can replace that feeling. So we've had the privilege today of having with us Miss Liz Gruthoff-Crotty. She is representing Zonta, a worldwide organization advocating for women across the board in a multitude of issues. Our particular focus today has been women in STEM, but Zonta also stands to advocate for women across the board in other areas of society. So, Liz, it has been a delight to have you with us.
Thank you so very much for inviting me to your program.
Indeed, and once again, don't forget the Women in STEM scholarship that Zonta offers at their website.
Women
as
in
mentioned.
Technology.
Women in
Scholarship.
Technology, sorry, yes. Thank you for clarifying. And that's available. You can find that on foundationzonta.org/women in STEM. I'm Abe Thompson, coming to you from the Secure Set Studios here in Colorado Springs on New Cyber Frontier.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of New Cyber Frontier. Remember, please follow and participate as New Cyber Frontier is supporting a grassroots community effort to empower the individual in the digital age. Check it out at privacyforthepeople.org. Also, make sure to join our mailing list so we can keep you informed. If you have an idea, if you have a question you would like to hear answered, or if you just want to get involved in what we're doing, reach out to us at newcyberfrontier.com. We also encourage you to visit our sponsors links because they are the ones that really make this show possible. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode of New Cyber Frontier.